Hello, everybody.
Yes.
Okay, I appreciate that, sis. Thank you. It's good to be here. Flew in, got in early this morning, and can you all hear me in the back? Good. We're gonna get along just fine. All right. So, my grandmother always taught me about confirmation. So I was listening to some of the people who were speaking, and I heard things like grand challenge. What is this? I can't even remember. Oh, land acknowledgement, IDA accreditation, third grade reading, and JFK. All this stuff. I was like, okay, so it is right. It is what I'm supposed to talk about. Let's get after it. I was going to, you see the topic right there. I was going to have you scan that QR code, but it's going to go to the same place that you already have it. I saw your thing, it's all hooked up, so you already have it. Matter of fact, you were looking at slides. I saw you. I saw you. So then I'll just take the time, a second to acknowledge somebody. So I'm going to dedicate this quick talk to my granny, may she rest in peace. She was a domestic for 50 years. She scrubbed people's toilets and washed their floors and fed their children and did whatever she could do because she was hoping that one day her efforts would lead to opportunities for those down the line. And so sometimes when I get in my feelings a little bit or frustrated, I think about Mrs. Rodessa Root. We have to ground ourselves sometimes. And these are all live links, so you'll text something and it'll go somewhere. So don't be in here texting stuff. Some of that stuff has volume. Don't give yourself away. But that is, I just wanted to acknowledge her. Okay. All right, and we got a clicker? Okay. Y'all know what this is? Okay, all right, Marilyn. So for those who don't, I'm gonna go a little bit deeper on this. And this gets into, which was the one we talked about? Oh, the land acknowledgement.
Yeah.
And I have mixed feelings about the land acknowledgement. I understand this, I respect it, I appreciate it. But I never hear anybody say, let's get a land back. But we should acknowledge things. And that their harms have been done and they're ongoing. And?
Sorry.
Oh, do you need me to stay still? Do you need me to stay still? Do you need me to stay still?
I'm just. Do you think?
Okay, all right. All right, so these stones, they had three kinds of stones. One was the crown stone every 5 years. That's the one in red, those crown stones. Every 5 miles, they had these crown stones. And this, you all know, this is Maryland, between Maryland and Pennsylvania, and demarcate, slave and free, etc. And then every mile, they'd have these stones. That's why we call them milestones, right? That's where we get the term milestones from. And it's just like, put it this way, these are your benchmark assessments. These are your state tests. This is your GRE, SAT, LSAT. Come on now, right? That's what it is. And you have to know, listen, if you didn't teach your child anything, you taught them about that. Not knowing the situation had major repercussions. You don't want to be on the wrong side of the line. That makes sense, right? You with me?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, why is he going here? You'll see. So they didn't actually finish surveying this. Do you know why? Does anyone know why? Do you know what happened? No? Push off. I'm going to tell you, trust me. So they were surveying, they got about 250 miles or so, and right about 210 miles from here, 180 as the crow flies, they got to Dunkers Creek. Dunkers Creek. And when they got there, because they had some, so you have the Iroquois and the Algonquin, two kind of like a group of nations, a group of tribes, and the Iroquois were with them. They had scouts, so from Iroquois nations, so, different nations. And then across the river, there were the Algonquin nations, Shawnee, the Delaware, folks like that. Mainly the Delaware, they had some Shawnee there too. Now, understand the Algonquin nations and the Iroquois nations did not get along. This goes back hundreds of years. Some of you here are history teachers or whatever back in the day, you know this, or you just love reading history. They did not go. There had been wars, there had been kidnappings, they had done different things, and so treaties had been broken, and so this expedition was coming their way, and the folks who were Algonquin were on this side of Dunker's Creek, and Mason-Dixon and their 45-member crew, and then all their scouts from the Iroquois Nation were on this side of the creek. And the Algonquins looked over and they basically said, "You better not come across that creek. I wish you would. You think I'm playing." And understanding the situation, the Iroquois scouts turned to the Mason-Dixon and the whole crew, and they said, "Nah, not one step further. Not one step further." They got the message. You understand? Mason-Dixon didn't want to stop. They were like, "Listen, this is our budget, this is our strategic plan, this is our blueprint, our framework, roadmap. I'm getting supervised on this thing. We got the state policy. We've been doing this. I already bought the curriculum. You just not done a 5-year cycle. We haven't so this is what we do." And the scouts and the leaders of the scouts got together and they were like, "Who's going to tell them?" Literally, who's going to tell them? And basically, the leaders, the superintendents, the coaches, the CAOs, the college professors, the leaders, they turned to Mason-Dixon and said, "Not one step further. It stops here. Because we are stewards of these people. And I know you're paying us, but all money ain't good money." And they turned around and they left. You can stay if you want to, but we're not staying here because we understand the situation. There's a difference between good shepherds and hirelings. Everybody has a plan. Like Mike Tyson used to say, everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the mouth. Yeah, kids show up, this is going on, that's going on, all of a sudden the plan is kind of, and then everybody's responsible. We all have a class roster, we all have schools and school districts, and we all have guides. We're all supposed to guide people, fine. But good shepherds, they weigh the impact on the people. The ones who can't speak very loudly. You understand? These were the leaders representing. The others couldn't really say too much because they're backed by the crown. They use data to inform the decision. I see the data. I understand the blueprint. I see the data. We're going to make an informed choice based on the data, based on the fact that we're advocating for the people that you probably don't even see. They're invisible. I understand my job, but I also understand my work. And there's a difference. And the people who were in charge, like I say, the superintendents and all those folks, the deans and the folks at the colleges, they have to make head-on pillow decisions. You know what I mean by that? You don't know what that is? Okay, well, can anyone explain what a head-on pillow decision is? Anybody?
You can sleep at night.
That's right. Say it one more time.
You can sleep at night.
That's right. That's right. That's what Odessa told me. She said, "Baby, always make good head-on pillow decisions." I understand. Nothing beats a good night's rest. They said, "We out of here. We can go if you want to." That's right. Now, time and circumstance has blurred the lines. You may see one of those road markers out there every now and then and whatnot, but time. But it's different today. In some ways, it's different. We don't have those stones. They're still there, but But today, literacy is the Mason-Dixon line. It's the divider between slave and free. Literacy, the ability to access the coin of the realm. Social health, economic health, political health. Don't tell me you can't even read the ballot and you're worried about Democrat and Republican. The kids can't read the ballot. So it's just about who tells them what, who tickles their fancy. Economic survival, community, family health. You know that age, right? Mother Maya, they interviewed her, this is about 96, Mother Jones magazine, and they said, what would you do if you wanted to help? What would you do? And she said, I'll teach young people to read. She said, this thing is here, let me blow it up for you. She said, the elimination of literacy is as serious an issue to our history today. Yeah. It is like that. It is like that. So I'm honored to be able to talk to the good shepherds today. Francois put it like this. He said, but every generation is different. Everybody's got their cross to bear. People. I hear people talk about, don't listen, about some topics that are very engaging and people love to talk about. I'm like, that was my mother's struggle. That was my grandmother's struggle. You ain't, listen, I understand we all have our druthers about what we like to focus on. We have it easy today compared to our grandparents. To be clear, this is minuscule compared to what they went through. I don't care what your race and class is, agenda. I don't care. We didn't grow up during the Great Depression. We didn't. Well, maybe some of you here did. I don't know how old you are, but we didn't. My granny used to tell me that all the time about how they saved everything and did this and did that. Or my mother's generation where they couldn't, women couldn't open up a bank account. And when your dad was acting up, I had to do this, and this, and then when I was a young man, it was during the what was that? We called it the crack epidemic, and they were just locking everybody up with automatic sentencing and all types of stuff. Today, and I hear people complain, like, man, please. Don't get me wrong, I understand we got problems today. But this is not my grandfather's generation. We have opportunities today they couldn't even dream of. My granny's husband's big brother was hung from a tree. Straight up. He went to the war, World War II in Germany, fought Hitler's crew, came back home, and it was still an N-word. Drove him crazy, he turned to the bottom. Try that on for size while we're talking about social justice. We got to put things in perspective. We got one job: teach the babies to read. That's what we stand in the arc of history. Really quickly, every 30 years, this is a little loop. Every 30 years, like clockwork, there's another. Those signs, where's Waldo? They say, you are here. We are here. We are not here. And somehow we have to check ourselves because we like to claim here. We are not here. We don't even want to walk in those boots. Literacy. That's what we own today. That's the arc of history. We're smack dab in the middle of this 30-year cycle today. Now, I know the newsreel, Dr. King, is wonderful. Coretta Scott King, love him, right? But that is the front. That's the billboard. That's what everybody sees. That's the newsreel. Behind the scenes, you have regular, everyday people. The dean, the coaches, the superintendents, the funders, the regular people who are practicing to do the dirty work. Most of it's not going to be seen. You're not going to be patted on the back. You likely won't be appreciated. Matter of fact, people might act up on you. But it's these anonymous people that get the job done. That's where we are today. That's the call. Okay. We all right? That's the intro. Now let's get into more of the nuts and bolts of what you got to do. Now, there's a lot of things that we can do to drive our. I was blessed to. DJ, will you remind me when we get to 15 minutes? You just Kareem got to. Okay. There's so many things, but I figured, well, you're gonna overload people. So I give you one or two things in each of these. You can take it or let it alone. But I'm just telling you, evidence has shown these are the things. Now, I know we often talk about this, and this is important. I heard someone talking about this. Who was it? Where was it? Wonderful, great. It's always great to have a blueprint and a roadmap, a strategic plan, a framework. Wonderful. But teachers don't, on Sunday night, they're not saying, where is that strategic plan at? Where's that blueprint? There it is. Framework, standard. They're not. Most teachers. I'm like, yes, right. But these are the things. So I'm going to run through them. If you see something useful, you might want to. Okay, ongoing communication. We love to have big announcements about our big initiative. I love Mile. Believe me, every district has a version of that. Every faculty has. This year we're doing this. Okay, fine. Whatever the focus is, great. Is what communicates. Okay. Especially for those of you in K-12. I went to Superintendent's Academy. I chose not to do it. I tried once. I filled an application. I was a finalist. I was like, I'm good. You get credit. But what I realized is there is an acceptable way to communicate your priorities. When I was at Superintendent's Academy, they said you got to have a strategic plan. Like that's part of the training, right? You know what communicates your priorities? You know, your time, your budget, your calendar, your curriculum. That people really don't care what you say. I mean, they will for compliance purposes, but they care what you do. How do you spend your time? I know the superintendent in San Jose, California, Vince Matthews, and he and his team would go and visit a school once a month. Everybody in the staff, central office, would go to the school site. Who's coaching the coaches? Who's giving feedback to the people giving the feedback? Are they calibrated? Are your expectations clear? Or was that just a rollout and we good now? Now it's on them. Come on now. And who's teaching them that? So superintendents come from the teachers' ranks. This has to be communicated from the time they're training to be a teacher. Listen, your time, how you spend your time, that communicates your values. It's like little kids when they say they don't really care what we say, they watch what we do. Same thing. It has to be on various platforms. I know we love the sound of newsletter because we were raised on newsletters and emails. Some of us emails, newsletter. But they're on different stuff now. I don't even know all the platforms. You got to find out what, ask the young people, they'll know. For higher ed, for ongoing communication, there has to be alignment with practices. What do you mean? Listen, listen. The Methods 1 teacher and the Methods 2 teacher haven't talked in 5 years. They never have agreed. One's teaching balanced literacy, one's teaching this over here. And so listen, I know, I've spoken to deans, I've spoken to faculty members, I know what really goes on. These quiet wars that are beneath the surface, it all trickles down to the K-12 space. Y'all gotta work that out. What page are we on for the sake of the children, right? And the dean is like, they all got tenure, I can't do nothing. No. Somebody has to say, not one step further. We gotta work this out. Contrary practice, what do you mean contrary practice? I know, NCTQ is like a dirty word in higher ed, I know. The National Council of Teacher Quality, people don't really like it. I understand, except for McDaniel, they got that A, so they all about it. But, one thing I found, we went through the syllabi and we looked to see are they teaching things that are contrary to the science? At K-12, you need to know that, because you're gonna have to unteach that. That costs money, time, and opportunity. Your initiative doesn't have time to unteach stuff. By the time you go on that, it's over. You got to find places with aligned approaches. Listen, I understand the mix. I get it, but we're here to love. I love you guys. Thank you for trying to serve our children. But you got to, come on now. Not one step further. It doesn't mean, and they can work with you. There could be a school that said, listen, well, we have done this in the past, but we're transitioning towards evidence-based practices. We've been working with the folks at Mile, and this is what we're going to do. And we want to set up a partnership. Wonderful. Great. Two-way street. Yes, ma'am. K-12. I had there's a bunch of school districts and LEAs, there's some charters and districts, and we've got Catholic schools and private schools. And I brought some of the leaders together with Zoom. And I was like, listen, K-12, you guys aren't talking to higher ed. It's like they're scared. I don't know what. I don't get it. They don't do this right here. So this is a special room. And they were like, well, they won't, we can't send them away. Just talk to them. They want to know. I said, listen, this is what you got to do. This is what I recommend that you do. I actually said, this is what you got to do. I said, there's 7 of you here. If you go to these three universities that pour most of the teachers in there and say, listen, we're going to prioritize hiring from the ones that do these 4 things. That's it. They had a list of like 20. Huh?
Water. I'm just singing.
Oh, thank you. Just tell them we're going to prioritize hiring from universities that do this, and this. They had a list of 20. I was like, that's too many things. It took them like a month to agree on the 4 things. 4 things. Now, you can't, because it's a teacher shortage. Don't lie. Don't say we'll never hire your people. Just say we're going to prioritize from there. What's wrong with that? And most of them will say, oh, well, you should have said so. Well, listen, universities, they care about the endowment, they care about the reputation and the shield, right? And they also care about the hireability of their people. They care, and they want to do right. You just have to be aligned. And they may say, sorry, we have a different approach. That's okay too. And then here, for higher ed, with mentor teachers, the district will say, oh, well, we have some great mentor teachers. Like, here. You have to have the standard. It's your reputation. It's your shield. It's your brand. And those mentor teachers, what's the process of selecting mentor teachers? Can we calibrate? They have to be able to show that they've done, come on now. Listen. Not one step further. What is the process? Come up with something. People love process. Fine, come up with a process for this. They have to have this, and this. They have to have done this, whatever. Right? Not just because you need a stipend. Proximity leadership. So, K-12. It is important. And this is based on, I'll get into this a little bit later, the extraordinary districts and the districts that really move the needle and the things they did. This is one of the key things. Who is in charge of literacy, K-12? Not your chief academic, they're not. Because they're in charge of literacy, math, history, science, everybody's problems, everything else. No, that's not the person. Who's really in charge of literacy? Where you're at Holy Trinity, right? Who's in charge of, who's holding literacy? Right? You're in Baltimore City. Who's in charge of literacy? Are they at the cabinet level? Because when stuff starts getting cut, somebody's got to pound the table and say, no, we got to have that, not 1 inch further. Now, I do know of some districts that have been successful where it's one person down from that. But the person at the cabinet level represents it very well. They're go-getters. They don't mess around. But they live in the Stones and their offices are right next door in both situations. Higher ed, what is the institutional mandate about this? Sometimes we make the mistake of only talking to the dean. The dean is hanging on for your life oftentimes. She or he sometimes. Or they're working their butts off. They are leading. It is no joke. Sometimes they need backing. That might be community backing. That might be provost, chancellor, president, you name it. But listen, we're an R1 institution. We have to. Yes, you will follow the research consensus on this because we're an R1. You're not gonna have the NAACP up here talking about we're not following the research, while Carnegie has its designated R1. K-12's like what? All right, they know what I'm talking about. What is the institutional mandate? Prep time. Oh, K-12. If I ask you right now, how much time do your teachers get a week to plan? What would you say? Just matter of fact. No, I'm not going to do it. I was going to have you stand up. I'm not going to do it. If your folks, how much time I have, DJ? Okay, 20 minutes. So, all the kids we all talk about, I heard all this stuff. This was great. I heard Dr. Gibson, I heard everyone. It was all wonderful. I heard equity, I heard, all the stuff. Oh, wonderful. We want all children, some version of that. We want all kids. It's an ambitional thing. Let me ask you a question. For that group, the all kids group, do you think they need full implementation or partial implementation? You act like, Full. Of course they do, right? Okay. If you agree with that, get a thumbs up. Full. So let me to summarize. The kids who we claim to love and serve and identify with and want to help and have slogans and yard signs and window placards and bumper stickers and all the and t-shirts. I've seen t-shirts. I've seen equity t-shirts. They need full implementation. Full. Everybody knows. Now, we get the curriculum, it's in the box, shiny, it looks good. All of the materials are colorful. There's some culturally relevant stories in there. There's black faces. There's brown faces. There's boys and girls, and you know, because you got to check those boxes. Check all the boxes, right? You got a book for dyslexia. You got a book for vocabulary. You got a book for fluency. You got a book for comprehension. You got the main book, the side book, the other 3 books, the assessment book. Come on now, right? And we got the kit. And here it is. There's the kit. The ones we talk about need full implementation. And all that, I know one company, they had 10 books. 10. How much planning time is in your district? And I'm just talking about literacy. The math people, they in another conference right now. They want their time, believe me. Right? You know I'm telling the truth. So come on now. So that's like wanting to cook something, but you don't have time to prepare the ingredients. And then wonder why the food's nasty. If we're serious about getting all kids, how is it that we have materials that don't align with our prep time? Are we really intending to go get the kids we say so much about? Are we really? This is not a union pro. I don't care about nothing. Listen, if you're trying to go get those kids, they got to be ready to be served every day. They need consistent. That's part of structural literacy. Consistent. Love is a lesson plan. That means people are prepared for you. They have taken their time. They have crafted the lesson with extensions and safety nets every day. I went to one company. I talked to publishers. Some of them like me, some of them don't. It's all good. And they showed me they have a new curriculum. They're going to use this. And they had the people come out, and all around the room was people, and they were talking. And they said, so what do you think? Just scouts how this happened. And I said, that's divorce in a box. Now, one step further. I've been that teacher I'm Rodessa's grandson. I'm going to give it all. And it cost me. Because nobody from higher ed to K-12 had the insight enough and the courage to say what needed to be said and act on it. You have to line up those systems, or else this is all just a charade to make us feel good. This is all a virtue signal. If the materials don't match up to the planning time, that means you're not planning to use the materials consistently. Am I wrong? No. And we had the kids on the bumper sticker and the website, the equity slogan. Man, fine. Plan for them. Okay, let me leave that alone. Higher ed. He's talking bad about K-12. I love them. That's love. I'm telling you, I love them. Because they're offering themselves in service. The Alabama State say service is sovereignty. I love them. Higher ed, visit and calibrate. Who's auditing the syllabi? It can't be like state secrets. And it shouldn't have Reading League or somebody or NCTQ going around trying to find your stuff. This is what we got. Especially if you're a public institution. Come on now, publish what? Don't make them have to do a public records request. Is it lined up? All right, Dean. Yeah. I know Reading League. I know a bunch of people that do the audits, and they'll walk you through it. Hey, we'll make sure some recommendations. We'll do it respectfully, quietly. You don't have to mess up the shield or the brand or the logo or whatever else, but this is the information. Figure it out. Dyslexics at the center. I'm not going to say that. I was at a state board meeting. I ain't going to say something. And one of the state board members former state board members said, I'm dyslexic. And we're going to take this seriously. We're going to have to move like this. When you go through it, you tend to, Not once that, no, When you have a child who's dyslexic, or a brother, or a cousin, or somebody, when it's your child, all of a sudden it's not just theory. They have to be, if you don't put them in the center, they're not going to get served. In tier 1, not down the hall. You know, back when my parents were in high school, they called that tracking. Now, we're more sophisticated. We're nuanced now. We don't call it that. Call it differentiation. Of course. Lord, forgive me, Lord. But we have to be, listen, not just in the curriculum and the materials, but we have to demand oral language development across all subjects. It's not just for the kids who are bilingual or they speak Spanish. I remember when I first started teaching in '96, the black families was up in arms about oral language development. We called it Ebonics. They got mad at us. Jesse Jackson started talking. Next thing you know, we took it away in Oakland. But it was just oral language development. I did it in school, and it was like jet fuel. My kids took off, and I had kids from every race and ethnic. But they got to get that when they're in school. I was like, what do you mean oral language development? I'm not an ELD teacher. I'm not a special ed teacher. That should be integrated into all content areas. When they leave your program, they got to know about oral language development. That's important. And if they got dyslexic kids, which they do, because 15 to 20% of kids are dyslexic, if they don't know about that, they got no shot. You have to be able to do these things. And then for higher ed, it should be across all classes. And you have the QR codes. I see some people right. You already got it. All right. I'm almost done. 2 more. Here's a big one. Feedback. Feedback. Turn your neighbor and say feedback. All right. It matters. Feedback. I know, first of all, when I was a teacher, sometimes nobody came in my room all year long. They just didn't. He's a good teacher. He's effective. I got other fish to fry. Like, I can't be in your room. You probably, and I really didn't even want him in my room, to be honest with you. But I told, when I got to be more senior, I told our principal, you gotta come to my room. If you don't come to my room, there's no way you're gonna be able to go to these other rooms. Because they're all about, you want to talk about equity. There's your equity, right? There has to be an institutional expectation about how often people get feedback. I'm not talking about evaluation. I'm talking about, I'm sitting down, I'm watching your practice. Because we were wise enough to make sure that you have materials and master planning time. So I know you can do it. You got the time. So when I come in, guess what? Let's work on these things that we have cultivated as being the keys to your growth and for student achievement. And I want to see it. And I'm going to give you quality feedback. We might have to calibrate around what quality feedback is. And higher ed, we might have to talk about how do we teach people to receive feedback well. So they don't just flip out because nobody ever gave them some critical feedback and they 23 years old and everything. Like you're going to have to, come on, you got to train people. So they're not used to it. Come on, right? Clarify the intent and the process. So role play, before you expect it, you got to show them. Demonstrate, this is what feedback looks like, sir. This is what it is. Show them, role play it, model it, let them get used to it, let them breathe. The crisis determines the cadence. I went to schools that were in crisis. So I was in every classroom every day, or I had somebody on my team in every classroom every day. And they freaked out every time. Until they got to the lunchroom and they realized that he also went into Miss Jackson's room. Oh, he went in Miss Jackson's room? Because Miss Jackson is, Miss Jackson. But so I was ready to go off on him, start some mess, but because he went in Miss Jackson's room every day, I can't say too much. You understand there's a culture part of this too. All right. Higher ed, what is the, so these two things, you see these two things, data-driven instruction has to be there. I know it may seem like a buzzword, it's not. This is the heartbeat. When your school system, K-12, is in crisis, you have to have this. It's the only way you're going to be able to avoid all the distractions. This has to be taught. I didn't learn about data-driven instruction until I joined the New Leaders Program. Now that's got to be higher ed's got to grab a hold of that. What do you mean by that? How do you use data-driven instruction? There are a couple of books. Matter of fact, here, I'll show you this quick video. with that, they gone, you gone, and the initiative did die. The money ran out. I just need you to, here's a template for the data-driven instruction for this cycle, for this, look at this standard, they did 2 right on this one, the same thing, this one, and this one, what they do wrong. Why did it, so you drill down to the details of practice. Okay, listen, I understand the call to provide conscious instruction. No problem with that. It's got to be informed by the evidence. It's got to be consistent. It's got to be high quality. If it's not that, there is no counterweight to that. You can't social justice your way out of unpreparedness or out of a lack of data-informed planning. You can't social justice your way out of poor planning time allocated when curriculum doesn't match. You cannot. Not if you're trying to get the kids we all say we want to get, which is all kids. There's some people who don't like it when I say that. Well, Kareem, if you talk about that, then people are going to stop talking about this. I don't care. I'm Rodessa's grandson. Not 1 inch further. These kids are circling the drain because we at the higher ed level and K-12 don't have the gumption or insight or whatever to follow through with the things that are the highest priority. I'm not saying that you can't be social justice minded, that's fine. But there is no social justice with illiteracy. You can't square that circle. They can't read, I don't care what else you do. They're in crisis. All right, I'm gonna hurry up. Oh, man. I was doing good too. Can you help me out, sis? If I just get a topic, I can take from there. Thank you. Go. So you may have seen this before, Nancy Young's ladder. 40% pretty much going to be all right. You just got to teach them something consistent. The rest of them, if they don't get the structured literacy thing, they're going to be in a world of hurt. That's pretty much our data all around the country. That's pretty much it. We're not going to get all 40 to 40 because, maybe we'll get 30 to 35 and then 40 and the rest, unless you have the money. Now, if you got the money, you said Maryland was one of the richest states in the country, fine. Plenty of people getting Kumon and Sylvan and all the rest. But there's some people who can't afford that. So that means we have to give them this. Okay. We hustle. Okay. That's the issue. We're here. Some of us don't even remember how we learned to read. Others of us, it was painless. They taught us something, we learned it. So it's difficult for us to understand what the regular folks need. This is the issue. I call it learner's bias. This is an N of about, at this point, over 20,000. I go to conferences and stuff. I have a little QR code they put up and this is the educator. Dr. King said in his last book, Chaos or Community, he was talking about education and reading. And he was talking about war and poverty and some other stuff. But he's also saying, listen, we have to give teachers what he was talking to y'all. This is Dr. King's last book before they killed him. He was saying, we have to be able to teach effectively. We have to help the teachers to teach effectively. Teach them how to teach kids to read. He'd be in the mile room right now with his cane talking about this. I'm sure you've seen these, and you can click on it with your finger, just touch it to go there. I'll let this be the last one. All right, hold on. Well, I have 2 more. I have that one, I have this, and I'm done, I promise. So, when I presented to the Baltimore City principals, one of them said, you should be showing that to the leaders, the superintendent. They need to see this, or CEO, they need to see this. I was like, well, if I ever get the chance to, I'll show them. It's like, you promise? I said, I promise. So I'm gonna play. I can do it. All right, get some more. You all seen this before. Some of you have, right? Wait your turn, boy. Chaos.
Hi, Louise. I'm Gary. You're Julie's. Let's get some particulars and just get this over with, all right?
Particulars.
Yeah.
No matter what I tell you, you ain't gonna never know nothing about
Hey,
me.
listen. I ain't running any more of these 3 days, okay?
What I got to say, you really don't want to hear, because honesty ain't too high up on your people's priority list, right?
Honesty? You want honesty? All right, honestly, I think you're nothing. Nothing but a pure waste of God-given talent. You don't listen to nobody, man. Not even Dr. Boone. Sugar push on the line every time, and you blow right past him. Push him, pull him, do something. You can't run over everybody in this league. And every time you do, you leave one of your teammates hanging out to dry. Me in particular.
Why should I give a hoot about you? Huh? Or anybody else out there? You want to talk about a waste, you the captain, right?
Right.
Captain's supposed to be the leader, right?
Right.
You got a job?
I have a
You
job.
doing your job?
I've been doing my job.
Then why don't you tell your white buddies to block for Red better? Because they have not blocked for him or a plug nickel, and you know it. Nobody plays. Yourself included. I'm supposed to wear myself out for the team? What team? No. No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look out for myself and I'm going to get mine.
See, man, that's the worst attitude I ever heard.
Attitude reflect leadership, Captain.
I didn't learn it in higher ed. I spent my money. They didn't teach me this stuff. Then I got here, and you don't know what you're talking about. The curriculum doesn't even line up with the prep time. No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close my door and teach. Team? What team? This, look, I understand. It may not, somebody got to say it. We all have a responsibility to maintain, to establish and maintain the culture. And when we see the chaos, the graduation rates, the attendance rates, the suspension rates, the fights, the literacy, we say it, and we all yell at the teachers because of the chaos. But we're on the balcony, they on the dance floor, we're at the balcony looking and saying, well, what systems are we putting in place to support them? The materials, the training, the support, beginning with when they were in higher ed. I'm only telling this because I love you. Well, I love the kids. You understand what I'm trying to say, right? Okay, one last thing and I'm done. They've been very gracious with time. So I tell them, yeah, there's this guy I know, he's a very famous guy, he's really cool, he's like a mentor of mine. They were like, oh, yeah, we already know, you rock with LeVar Burton and the Reading Rainbow guy, remember that? And I was like, okay, yeah, no, that's not it. Yeah, we're cool, we're cool, but that's not it. This is the guy. This was the guy in the pictures with Dr. King. This is Ambassador Andrew Young. This is Dr. King's running buddy. That's his best friend. He's a godfather of one of his sons. They had a pillow fight the day that Dr. King was assassinated. He's like, where are you coming from, Andy? Man, I was just trying to get you out of jail. They were boys, right? And I have had the privilege of knowing him, and I consider him a mentor. He told me, basically, he said, you look at the Statue of Liberty, everybody's concerned about the torch. Because, it's the symbol of justice and all this, and it's the torch. He said, that was our job. He said, my generation, Martin, me, that was our job, was to light the torch. That is not your job. We have to stop copying other people's duties. He feels some kind of way about this, too. You should hear he's old, but that is not your job. He said, your job is to go after the feet. That's your generation's job. You got to unshackle the minds, like Carter G. Woodson said in Miseducation of the Negro. Unshackle the mind. It's education. That's your job. You're not out there marching. You ain't have no dog sit on you. You ain't light no torch. Your job is to teach that methods class right, and there's honor in that. That's your generation. Every generation has its duty, right? And we serve in relative opacity. But he said, that's your job is to go after the feet. That's your job. He said, stop trying to do my job. I already did my job. It's your job to go after the feet. Because these children are bound. And it's going to take efforts like Miles coming together, prioritizing children, making sure data-driven instruction is taught in higher ed so that when they get to K-12, they don't have to spend that money. Okay, thank you for your time.